Page 14, blank. Page 15, contents. Dedication, page 5. Foreword, page 7. Acknowledgements, page 9. Preface, page 11. Number 1, Miss Annie Sharp, the first educator of the blind in India, page 19. Number 2, Dr. Neil Kantrai, D. Chhatrapati, and his contributions to blind welfare, page 23. Number 3, Lal Bihari Shah, his vision of education for the blind, page 33. Number 4, P.M. Advani, a multifaceted educator, page 47. 5, Sir Clutha Nantes Mackenzie, page 63. References, page 73. Index, page 77. Page 16, blank. Page 17, a picture of Miss Annie Sharp. Page 18, blank. Page 19. Number 1, Miss Annie Sharp, the first educator of the blind in India. The first school for the blind in this country was established by Miss Annie Sharp, a Christian missionary at Amritsar in 1887. Being in the field of special education, I was keen to have some information on her life and work. I therefore studied the relevant literature and contacted learned people in the field of blind welfare. But surprisingly, I was unable to get any significant information. Consequently, I embarked on an informal project. Para. I approached the authorities of the Sharp Memorial School for the Blind, Dehradun, but unfortunately, even they could not furnish any substantial information. The old records were either destroyed or taken away, I was told. However, the superintendent of the school was willing to extend his cooperation in my endeavor as far as possible. He asked me to contact certain persons. Correspondence with them also failed to yield any interesting information. Para. The problem is that Annie and her 3 sisters and a brother remained unmarried. Consequently, there is no surviving member in the family who could furnish the requisite details. Within inverted commas, the place where Miss Sharp was born has been pulled down and there is any information about her now, close inverted commas, wrote Miss J. Short, who served at the Sharp Memorial School for some time in reply to one of my letters from England. Page 20. Para. Ultimately, I approached the church authorities to locate the grave of Annie. They agreed and we located her grave on 19th November 1989. The epitaph on her grave tells that Annie was born on 23rd October 1858 at Tanglemere, Guildford, England. And from the epitaph on the grave of her sister Maria Sharp, we came to know that their father was Samuel Sharp, who came from Chilworth, Surrey, in England. During the centenary year of the services for the blind in India in 1987, one organization tried to publish a photograph of Annie, but they published someone else's by mistake. The accompanying photograph was certified by the superintendent of the Sharp Memorial School for the Blind as that of Annie only. Para. This study eventually yielded a lot of information about Annie. Miss Hewlett, a missionary, played an important role in bringing Annie to India and helping her in embarking upon the historic venture of commencing educational facilities for the blind of this country. Quoting from a pamphlet about the work for the blind written in 1902, Margaret E. Ross, former superintendent of the Sharp Memorial School, writes in her 1976 pamphlet, open inverted commas, "The work amongst the blind in northern India was initiated by Miss Hewlett and commenced by Miss Annie Sharp," close inverted commas. Hewlett lost her sight in childhood due to measles and was blind for over a year. After recovering her sight, she vowed to serve the blind whenever an opportunity presented itself. She came to India in 1879. Ross writes, open inverted commas, "On beginning her work in India in 1879, she soon realized the need of this great land and rejoiced when in 1886 she was joined by Miss Annie Sharp, who, at Miss Hewlett's request, had taken special training for this work." Close inverted commas. Page 21. Thus it is evident that Miss Hewlett played a significant role in initiating educational services for the blind in India. Para. Annie's contribution to the education of the blind in this country is of historic significance. In fact, she deserves the title of, open inverted commas, the mother of the education for the blind in India, close inverted commas. To quote Ross again, open inverted commas, it was in 1887 that the school was officially founded by Miss Annie Sharp in the compound of St. Catherine's Hospital, Amritsar, and became known as the North India Industrial Home for Christian Blind, close inverted commas. The name suggests clearly that the school aimed at providing the blind with shelter in most cases, lifelong shelter, and elements of basic religious training, naturally Christianity, as education in the first place. Some training in handicrafts and Braille script was also included. The school still follows almost the same aims. Para. It is noteworthy here that many schools for the blind in Europe and America had already gone beyond the culture of, within inverted commas, homes for the blind, when Annie founded her school. The first school for the blind in the world, established at Paris, had about 103 years of history behind it. By 1887, it was following sound pedagogical principles in imparting education to its pupils. So was the case for some schools in England. Sharp School seems to have lacked sound and secular principles of education for its inmates. Probably it is one of the reasons that it could not reach the heights of excellence during its 1 century of existence. Para. Annie ran the school for about 16 and a half years. During this period, she inspired Dr. Chhatrapati, well known for his contributions in the field of blind welfare, to start a school for the blind at Ahmedabad in 1895, page 22. There is a reference to his visit to Amritsar after he started losing his vision. Para. Annie was considering for a long time to move the school to a more peaceful, healthier, and climatically better place. Her long-cherished dream was fulfilled when she was able to procure a plot at Dehradun. She moved the school from Amritsar to Dehradun on 9th April 1903. Hewlett must have felt tremendously happy, so she left for Amritsar after a few days. But unfortunately, it turned out to be her last meeting with Annie. She contracted cholera on 24th April 1903, and within hours she died. She was 44 then. After Annie's death, her younger sisters Emily and Frances served the school for some time. They had to return to England to arrange, within inverted commas, money and material for the school in collaboration with their brother. Annie's third sister, Dr. Maria Sharp, reached Dehradun on 2nd June 1918 for the same purpose, but within a week she also contracted cholera and died on the 10th June 1918. Para. According to Ross, the decision to hand over the school to Zenana Bible and Medical Mission was taken by Francis. Thereafter, it came to be known as the North India Industrial School for the Blind. Para. In recognition of the services rendered by Annie, her three sisters and a brother, it was later renamed as the Sharp Memorial School for the Blind.